Stormfire Productions presents The Myth of the Storyteller. Once upon a time, in a space that was very much like this space, black and white and flat and filled with strange symbols, there lived a powerful being called the Storyteller. The Storyteller lived between lines and curves and dots, between the white and the black. And they knew many, many things. They knew all about the ways the universe began. They remembered gods and heroes long after those stories were forgotten. They knew about magic and fighting, victory and defeat, evil and good, about struggle and joy. They knew the infinite ways of sadness and love. Now, the storyteller knew many, many things, but this knowledge is only part of what made them so powerful. You see, what made the storyteller so powerful was not the stories they knew. What made the storyteller so powerful were the stories they told. In the beginning, there were no such thing as stories. The animals moved along the earth with no memories, no individual purpose in their hearts, no existential fear. The only fear was imminent death. Emotions were simply reactions to stimuli, appearing in a snap and spark and gone the next moment. They ate, fucked, and slept without dreaming. Chemicals and hormones and electric synapses were made for the only law anyone had ever known. In these days, the days before stories, the only law was to survive. There was no reason for this law, no judge or king to enforce it, no consensus among the peers. It was unquestionable. It was inherent. You were born knowing it, and it was the only thing you ever knew. And if the only thing you knew was unquestionable, how would you think about anything else? The animals built homes, created tools, and sharpened their minds to overcome the dangers of starvation and predation. They still found themselves empty and lost, a hollow feeling through the center of their cells that no meat or drink could fill, a space that anger nor pain nor fleeting joy could fill. One night, one of these animals went to bed after a long day of foraging, eating, and drinking. This animal had been thinking for a while now, and it knew thinking was strange in and of itself, dangerous even, because everyone knew that if you stayed still too long, thought too long, a predator was surely going to snap you up and gulp you down. Death was anathema to everything that the animal knew. And since survival was the only thing that the animal knew, still, it couldn't help but feel out the hollow space inside its body like a child tonguing the space of a lost tooth. It was tired, however, and had no more patience for the day to think on the thing that it felt was lost. How could it have lost anything that was never there? The animal curled up and drifted to sleep. The animal then began to dream the very first dream. The first dream was also a memory. The animal saw light expanding. It noted once the light expanded, it began to separate along dark space. Those separations each became distinct. Stars, the animal thought. The stars, the explosion of matter, then was pulled by invisible forces into magnificent shapes and colors. The animal watched the sequence of events, following it to one specific point in space and time. And then there was the linking of carbon atoms. And then there was the formation of a planet near a star. And then the carbons found oxygen atoms. And then there was the division of a cell. After the and then life was able to emerge from the sludge of matter. And then the animal understood the concept of connection. The animal awakened with a rush not unlike the sensation of being chased. It understood now. Life did not come from nowhere. Life came to be from a sequence of fantastic and even violent events. What a wonder! What an amazing concept! The animal scrambled to tell its fellow animals. "Wake up," it urged. "I have something to tell you." "Has Predator come?" the closest animal wailed. "No, it's a good thing," it told them. The group gathered around the animal. "Is it food?" a young one asked. "Not exactly," the animal said. "I thought of something while I was asleep." "How?" the young one pressed. "What was it?" an older animal asked with apprehension. "Well," the animal started, "once upon a time." The group sat in silence as the animal told them about its brief dream. The young ones blinked in confusion after it finished speaking, looking to their parents for guidance. After a long silence, an elderly animal stepped forward with a stern look. "This one has turned towards death. There is no once upon a time. There is only now. And now we have wasted our chance to eat, rest, or protect ourselves. Leave the accursed one for the predators." The other animals dispersed, muttering to themselves. The dreaming animal felt despair. The kind one would feel at the jaws of a bigger, stronger predator. It knew what it felt was wrong. It went against everything it knew, which was not much, to be honest, but even though what it had experienced was new, it also felt that it was important enough to share with the others, as if alerting them about a nearby whiff of food. With a heavy heart, the animal wandered deep into the forest, away from the animals who hated its dream. The animal felt pain, but not from hunger or injury. It did not feel hungry at all. It felt almost nothing except for the strange pain. What was wrong with it? The woods were thick with vines and unfamiliarity. The animal had never ventured far from its roosting and hunting grounds. In other circumstances, it supposed it should be fearful at the foreign territory. It should be alert, ready for bigger, hungrier predators to burst from the underbrush. But fear was far from its mind. A phantom pain occupied its thoughts instead. After another night and day of restless wandering, the animal relented to exhaustion and thirst. It chewed on leaves to slake its dry throat and searched for the sound of water. Luckily, it did not take long. It took another half-day to find the stream, but the animal was able to bring its weakened body to the shore. The stream was clear and wide, not quite so wide as a river, but wide enough for the current to create eddies around the boulders littered along the banks. The animal lowered its head, relieved to drink from the clear water. It was so very thirsty. It drank so long and so deep, and with such a single mind, it did not notice the sound of a figure approaching, until it was too late. "You are far away from home, little one," a voice said quietly into its ear. The animal jumped and snarled, hoping to frighten away the intruder. The other creature did not move. The animal blinked, and blinked again. The creature before it did not look like anything it had ever seen before. The image of the creature shifted. It was as if the light and shadows of the trees could not quite decide on how to frame the creature. "Who are you?" the animal demanded. "I am your dreams. I am your memories. I am the storyteller." The animal was confused. What is a storyteller? The storyteller smiled and sat on their haunches by the bank of the stream. "Sit a while, and I'll tell you. But first, tell me, what is your story? How have you come to be here?" The animal should have run. That is what it was taught to do whenever it encountered the unknown. But the animal did not run. Instead, it followed the longing pain in its heart and sat beside the storyteller. The animal told its story, and the storyteller listened. "And that's it," the animal finished. The storyteller nodded in understanding. Strangely, the animal's pain seemed to ease. It sighed a deep sigh and sat back on its haunches. Can you answer my question now? What is a storyteller? The storyteller gestured towards the stream. This stream comes from high in the mountains, where few animals survive, where the frost chokes warmth from the air. Only when the light strikes the earth at a certain angle can the frost melt. Just enough for the water to change, to move. Water is drawn down the mountain by a force that governs us all. The water surrenders to the force and follows the force's path down, down, down. But see how the rocks themselves are smoothed by the power of the stream. The water is not robbed of its power by surrendering to the call to flow down the mountain. In fact, its power grows. Without this choice, you would not have found a place to slake your thirst. No one would. The animal sat and thought about the storyteller's words. While the storyteller had not spoken directly to what the animal had experienced or had asked, it felt the truth in the storyteller's words. It thought about the other animals in the clearing, the curiosity of the younger ones, and the fear of the elders. They needed water too. Everyone did. If I wanted to make the choice, how can I make it work? The animal asked. How can I smooth the stones? You listen to the call, the storyteller said, and you connect to every part of life around you. The storyteller leaned over and told the animal secrets, the little ways and tricks of keeping an audience in rapture. They even shared some of their favorite stories. The animal listened, and its heart swelled with the sense of purpose. After another day and night, the storyteller bid the animal farewell. The animal slowly made its way back to the others. On its way back, it took in the rest of the forest almost as if it had grown a new set of eyes and ears. The colors, the sounds, the movements. When it arrived back, some of the elders shunned it. But since its absence, some of the others had questions. They rushed at the animal in a wave of relief and urgent pestering. Some had finally had night dreams of their own. The storytelling animal listened to their stories and then told them about the stream. The storytelling animal told them about the water's call and the call that resounds in all living things. The other animals thrilled in a sense of understanding and interest in one another's stories. Finally, there were reasons to protect their young and seek out better lands. There was a reason to the lights in the sky and even to the predators which stalked them. Some of the younglings learned from the storytelling animal. They could finally question why one story was different from others. They could finally dream. They could finally be alive. I wake up to the light of a fall morning. Most days, if I'm lucky, I have time to write down my dreams and go to the gym. Today was not one of those days. I was up late last night talking to my mentor and then talking to my then boyfriend. My mind is filled with the fuzz of those conversations and how they may have laid tracks in my dreams. No time to think deeply about it. I have sacrificed morning writing time for my beloved sleep. I only have time to throw on decent work clothes and stumble down my apartment steps to my car. I greet my car with a bright good morning as I slide into the driver's seat. As I start the engine, Toph, what I named my car, returns my hello with her perfunctory shriek. I have not buckled in. When I fasten my seatbelt, I turn on the radio. The morning NPR news consists of Donald Trump's scandals and the Thai king who has passed away, the longest living monarch in his generation. Then there is a story about a man who gave his coat and offered to buy dinner to a teen who attempted to rob him at knife point. It precedes a call for fundraising for the nonprofit StoryCorps. I ponder my recent interest in radio storytelling and podcasts as I arrive to my office. I try to remember the important insights I wanted to include in this paper that I wrote in 2016. Later in the day, my coworker asks me about my novel. I tell him about one agent calling my sample phenomenal. My coworker congratulates me and then says something strange. That's great. You don't want to be doing this forever anyway. This, presumably, is digital strategy at a web development company. I am thrown. I did not expect such a statement. I look around. Everyone else is out at a meeting. Well, this is a good job to have as I develop my stories, I tell him. I'm not going to be able to bet on being able to live off of novels and writing. Besides, I tell him, this job also gives me an opportunity to write. He congratulates me again and tells me I'm on the right track in any case, and we move on to another topic. Something flutters in my chest, as it does whenever the subject of career and future comes up. You should be a politician, my family tells me. You should be a great journalist, others contend. You could be an amazing actor, I've been told. I want to scream. I don't know what I want to be. I just want to tell stories. Just let me tell stories. I breathe. I take a drink of water. I sit back down. I open the Storyteller document, a paper that I was asked to write to explore the archetype of the storyteller. I allow myself to write. I allow myself to dream. In my dreams, I am a hero. I save the damsel, or dude, person, in distress. I beat the shit out of bad guys. Sometimes I'm Supergirl. Sometimes I'm a witch. Sometimes I banish demons. Sometimes I urge a flood or an erupting volcano to subside. In my dreams, I am a villain. I scream and bite and hit out at the people who have displeased me, even for the smallest of slights. In my dreams, I am the one in need of saving. In my dreams, I am a lover, a convict, a whore, a god, a detective, a sister, a son, an animal. In my dreams, I am so many things. And when I awake, I continue to find multitudes. I find golden strands which pull me together and pull me apart. They pull me down the mountain. Sometimes I resist, and sometimes I surrender. I vibrate with the need to tell stories, to write, to be on stage, to sing and dance. Every action I take, it seems, is geared me towards some kind of story, fictional or not. To what end? I'm not sure yet. All I know is I can hear my call to adventure, the call of the storyteller. The answer is a resounding yes. Thank you so much for listening. This is Lisette Alvarez, and this was The Myth of the Storyteller. A portion of this was part of like I said, a paper called The Storyteller, where I explored the archetype and its existence across multiple worlds and multiple cultures. So this I am producing in celebration of the final 2 weeks of the Storytelling Crowdfund. The information for the Storytelling Crowdfund, which includes things like folktale charms from the latest folktales, to bespelled notebooks for when you have writer's block, to mugs, to tarot readings, monthly tarot readings, to explore your own story, your own hero's journey. So if you want to contribute, we have a stretch goal of $5,000 until Halloween, and we are just about 75% of the way there. I hope that you can join me in exploring this new age of storytelling. Thank you again for listening and for your support. You can learn more at stormfireproductions.com.